for the Dylan Morgan podcast. He's listing at 6 feet tall from Cairo, New York. It is Dylan Morgan. What is up, everybody? This is Dylan Morgan, back on the Dylan Morgan podcast. Biggest headline today, the Final Four is going to look a little strange. If you've been following college basketball all season, these teams would not be the four that you'd probably pick to be in the Final Four. Virginia being the only first seed left in the Final Four, which is ironic because last year Virginia was upsetted by a 16 seed as they were a first seed last year as well. And for the first time ever, a 16th seed won in the first round, upsetted Virginia. And that was a huge hit to the ego of the Virginia college. And now this year, they're the only first seed in the Final Four, as Duke, Gonzaga, and North Carolina all were upsetted before now. And so it's weird to see that there's only one first seed left, and it's actually the one team that lost last year as a first seed in the first round. But anyways, the guys in the Final Four, Virginia, Michigan State, Texas Tech, and Auburn. Auburn being the lowest seed at 5th seed after a huge win last night over the weekend. They won, and now they're going on to the Final Four. Texas Tech beating Kentucky. A huge win last night by the Michigan State team, beating Duke, which is one of the most hyped up college teams we've ever seen. And it was a close win as well, barely getting by with 1 point lead. Huge win by Michigan State, led by Cassius Winston, I think is his name. Definitely their leader. And Zion having a great night, and they're still able to come up with the win. But definitely March Madness there at its finest. Final Four, both games will be this Saturday. National Championship will be Monday. We're ending up with that national champion from 64 to now 4 after yesterday's games. It's crazy how March Madness works like that. And a lot of low seeds made it to the Final Four, so it really shows the madness. Madness came a little late. I think in the first round, nothing that surprising. And then here we are now. Last night, Duke losing to Michigan State by 1 point after almost losing twice in both their games before. But anyways, let's move on to some MLB news. Over the weekend, the Red Sox extended Xander Bogaerts' contract. Bogaerts has 387 career RBIs and .976 fielding percentage in his career. Bogaerts was a contributor to last year's World Series team. The Red Sox won last year, and the MLB is off to a hot start this season so far, and we'll get to the scores of that in a few minutes. In other news, over the weekend, the Oklahoma City Thunder and San Antonio Spurs both clinched a playoff spot. Kings eliminated from playoff contention, so now the Western Conference 1 through 8 all are going to make the playoffs. Everyone knows who's making it and who's not at this point in the West. But the Thunder are closer to the Warriors and the Thunder 8th seed. Let's say that the Thunder 8th seed and the Warriors 1st seed. The Thunder are actually closer to the Warriors for 1st seed than the 3rd seed in the East, 76ers, are to the 1st seed Bucks. So that's how close the West is compared to the East. But the East has a few teams still left in playoff contention. So right now, not the same scenario. Miami hanging on half game ahead of Charlotte, I believe, and the Magic. Magic and Charlotte could both make it, 9th and 10th seed. Then there's the Heat, Nets, Pistons, all definitely not secure, like one game apart from each other. The other news over the weekend, the Lakers announced that LeBron will be shut down for the rest of the season. Never really fully healed from the groin injury that we saw him suffer on Christmas Day, but his team suffered while he was gone, so he had to make a quick recovery, come back, and he tried his best, but they could not make the playoffs. Not a lot of negativity in the Lakers locker room, though. You can see that they are still in high spirits, even though they didn't make the playoffs. They're just going to move on to next season. And it's weird to see them almost they almost look like a more well put together team now that they know they're not going to make the playoffs. And I almost think the pressure of that got to them. And I think once LeBron realized that, he kind of let go of that standards he held on his teammates, and I think that's what the problem was. Too many young guys who weren't used to getting pushed like that in order to make the playoffs. But anyways, LeBron leads the Lakers in points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game this season. So not gonna be but it's gonna be interesting to watch the rest of the Lakers roster for the rest of the season, see what they're going for next season. Lakers have the spotlight on them. They are gonna go for a lot of free agents this summer. You already know, because they've already announced a lot of guys, and in the past off seasons they have never held back from going for those free agents. But now let's look towards the NBA scores from last night, Sunday, March 31st. The Atlanta Hawks beat the Milwaukee Bucks 136 to 135 after a huge floater tipped in by Trae Young. Actually, two clutch shots in a row. One was also a driving floater that put them up, and then down one deflection right into Trae Young, who hit the floater. But I'm going to look real quick and see this box score now to see who the Hawks' leading scorer was. It was a big win by the Hawks. I believe Giannis didn't play. Yeah, Giannis didn't play that game. So that was actually a big game for role players. Tim Frazier started at point guard for the Bucks and actually ended up scoring 20. Sterling Brown started at shooting guard and scored 27. So I guess a night for the Bucks to rest their stars. And the Hawks, Justin Anderson, 24, John Collins, 23, Alex Len, 23. So 12 rebounds for both Collins and Anderson. 16 assists for Trae Young, along with 12 points and that game winner. So just a big night for this Hawks unit and for some role players for the Bucks, who know at this point that they're probably going to end up with that first seed in the East. So we'll see how that plays out, but their role players getting valuable playing time last night. The Mavericks beat the Thunder 106 to 103. Trey Burke, who was added to the Mavericks after that Kristaps Porzingis trade midseason, he scored 25 points and 8 assists off the bench, getting a win over the Thunder, who are struggling right now, but at least they know they're going to make the playoffs. The Lakers beat the Pelicans 130 to 102. As I was just talking about, the Lakers seem like they're rolling a little bit better since knowing they're not going to make the playoffs, which is kind of ironic. JaVale McGee had 23 points, 16 rebounds. He's been pretty good lately, JaVale. Rajon Rondo, 24 points, 12 assists. Also been playing pretty good in the past few games. The Sacramento Kings beat the San Antonio Spurs 113 to 106. Buddy Hield had 26 points. LaMarcus Aldridge, 27 points and 18 rebounds. Spurs also really needed a win there, but not a big hit because the Thunder also lost, and that is who they're around for that 8th, 7th seed. Wizards beat the Nuggets 95 to 90. The Wizards held the Nuggets to just 28 points in the second half, giving them that win. The Nuggets were, I'm sure, coasting a little bit against a team like this and just got caught off guard. But not that many games left in the season, so we're seeing a lot of resting, which is unfortunate to the teams who, let's say the Miami Heat, watching the Hornets face a team like the Celtics over the weekend, and the Celtics rest their starters, and that's a disadvantage to the Miami Heat. So it really fluctuates the way that teams are going to make it into the playoffs. To our next game, the Golden State Warriors beat the Charlotte Hornets 137 to 90. That's a 47-point win by the Warriors. Steph Curry had 25 points. Klay Thompson had 24. Big night for the Splash Brothers. LA Clippers beat the Memphis Grizzlies 113 to 96. Danilo Gallinari scores the highest mark of the night in the NBA. 27 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists all-around game for Gallinari. Clippers making the playoffs, already a huge accomplishment. So to see guys like Gallinari stepping up, even against not the greatest teams, it's big for the Clippers. But now let's go to some MLB scores from last night, Sunday. The Baltimore Orioles beat the New York Yankees 7-5. Home run list: Nunez, Mancini, Rickard, all scoring 1 home run apiece for the Orioles. Gary Sanchez getting 1 for the Yankees. Tigers beat the Blue Jays 4-3. Tellez with a homer for the Blue Jays. Pirates beat the Reds 5-0. No home runs in that game, I guess. Marlins beat the Rockies 3-0. Riddle scores 2 homers for the Marlins. The Rays beat the Astros 3-1. Marisnick 1 home run for the Astros, and Meadows with 2 homers for the Rays. Nationals beat the Mets 6-5. Trey Turner with 2 homers, and a big night for Turner with a walk-off home run as well, one of them being. The Twins beat the Indians 9-3. Nelson Cruz with a homer for the Twins. Brewers beat the Cardinals 5-4. DeJong scores 1 homer for the Cardinals. Carpenter and Goldschmidt with 4 homers for the Cardinals, and Carpenter with 1. Christian Yelich homer for the 4th straight game in the Brewers 5-4 over the Cardinals. The White Sox beat the Royals 6-3. Abreu and Alonso hitting homers for the White Sox. The Rangers beat the Cubs 11-10 in a. I thought that went to extra. Schwarber, Rizzo, both homering for the Cubs. Mathis, DeShields, and Cabrera homering for the Rangers. The Athletics beat the Angels 2-1. Calhoun with a homer for the Angels, and Davis with the homer for the Athletics. The Mariners beat the Red Sox 10-8. Martinez and Betts both homer for the Red Sox. Bruce and Narvaez both homer for the Mariners. Padres beat the Giants 3-1. No home runs for that game. Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 8-7. Weaver and Bellinger homer for each respective team. Phillies beat the Braves 5-1. McCutchen and Harper both hit homers for the Phillies. And I think that is it for today. Make sure to leave a like on this podcast. As always, subscribe. Thank you all for listening. This is Dylan Morgan signing out.